This is the unfiltered feed. The unfiltered feed.
Hello guys and welcome back to the channel. Today we are previewing the Delhi Capitals for the upcoming season of the Indian T League. So we have already talked about the first four teams and this is our fifth. So we have reached the halfway point. So let us talk about how they did last season. I think they started off really well, and at one stage they looked like they were almost guaranteed a playoff spot, and then just something happened. So what do you think that something was for them last season?
To be honest, it was a very big mystery for me as well. I just think that after their loss to MI, the team kind of lost a bit of confidence because that match was one that they were dominating for 90% of it, and at the very end, they ended up panicking and losing a lot of wickets. I think
The
they
one
had
in
three
Delhi.
runouts in 1 over, yeah.
Yeah.
So I think after that, a bit of self-doubt must have crept in because after that, they started losing a few close games. They also lost one game to RCB, which they should have won. So I think those games started to hamper their confidence, and towards the end, I think they had a few injuries, which didn't help as well.
Yeah, I think they were at the halfway stage, they were 5 wins from 7 games. So
Yeah.
they technically didn't need much more to do. They probably needed 3 more wins from the last 7, and they ended up winning just a single game. So a lot of questions can be raised, and it's good to see that they haven't taken any knee-jerk reactions after that fumble, and they still have gone with bit of solidity, my bad, and
Yeah.
retained most of their players from last season. So we've got the same captain, which is a good start, Akshar Patel, and KL Rahul was of course the backbone of this side. As he always does, he did everything that was asked of him, whether it was batting in the middle or opening. And then you have the pretty much the same bowling as well, and they've made a few upgrades which we will talk about. But do you think this structure, we will get into it, but the structure of having a lot of Indian talent here to start and then not really focusing much on your foreigners last season, because they most of their performers were Indians last year, and they had a Faf du Plessis, a Jake Fraser McGurk. Even Mitchell Stark didn't really live up to their hype, even Tristan Stubbs for that matter. So the team was kind of carried by their Indian players. So do you think that will be an advantage for them this time around, considering the uncertainty over the overseas availability?
Yeah, I think this is not just for Delhi, but for every other team that wants to do well. You need to have a solid Indian core because now that the IPL is a longer tournament with potentially more games and with the international calendar being so packed, boards are not, they're a bit careful and they want to make sure their players are not being over exerted. So a good Indian core is important. And I think with Delhi, I'm happy with the bowling attack that they have. A lot of good Indian options, which will help them not just at the start, but also as the playoffs come, if they qualify.
Yeah, so let us talk about this year and what they did in the auction. Of course, they got in Nitish Rana before the season started, and they traded out Donovan Ferreira. So that was a good addition because I think Tristan Stubbs and Ferreira kind of overlapped. So they instead got a top order bat. And in the auction, they went after an overseas opener in Ben Duckett and Pathum Nissanka. I like Pathum a bit more, but Ben Duckett is still another good addition. And they got Prithvi Shaw as well, who was one of their trusted troops in the past. And in the bowling department, they got Kyle Jemison and Lungi Sani Ingidi as well. And of course, the much talked about Akib Nabi. So I think all in all, they had a decent auction. And do you think any of those guys will straight away get into the playing 12? Though we have kind of listed playing 12 here, but do you think anyone is a direct entry into the team?
Yeah, they did solid business. I think most of their team was pretty much the same. They just needed to replace their openers and then a few changes that you make every year. I think Nitish Rana should walk in to the playing 12 because one, he's a Delhi boy, so he knows the conditions well. Plus, he's been extremely consistent in the IPL for several years now. Even last year with RR, I don't think he was their best batter, but he was always scoring those 20, 30 runs, which is very important. Other than that, I think the openers will obviously have to come in because they left both Faf and Jake Fraser McGurk. So they'll at least have to play one of the new purchases.
Yeah, we saw KL Rahul come in the middle order last time, or at least that was what he preferred to do. But in the end, when they ran out of openers, he eventually did open for them. And I did read Kevin Peterson say that they had to do a lot of convincing to make him open, and he wasn't quite happy with KL Rahul and his stubbornness to not open. So that could be a reason why he is no longer the mentor of Delhi Capitals for this season. But and again, he has kind of expressed that he wants to play in the middle even this time around. But the question is, last time he was kind of trying to get into the Indian T20 setup, and the wicketkeeper they needed in India at that time was a middle order batter because the top order was stacked. So, do you think now his priorities must have changed, and do you think he should be opening here considering they'll otherwise need to bat someone like a Nitish Rana at the top or get in Abhishek Porel?
I don't think he should open this year because he just doesn't have the game that modern T20 cricket requires in the power play. You see players like Abhishek, players like Rohit, Decock, Phil Salt, all of these guys, they just go bang bang. And Rahul, for some reason, I don't know why, since 2018, he's just tapered down his aggressiveness. So in this side, I think his role is to be the anchor, very similar to what Babar Azam played for Pakistan, even though he couldn't do it. But that's the role that Delhi will have. So I actually won't be surprised if they keep demoting him in case they have a good start. But I don't think he should open in this side.
That is a bit interesting. So Abhishek Porel is kind of a front runner because they've got Nitish Rana, Karun Nair and Prithvi Shaw as options to open if KL Rahul doesn't, because you definitely don't want to play two foreign openers because it messes with your balance. So they're in a weird position because Abhishek Porel hasn't really repaid the faith shown in him, and even in the domestic season, he hasn't necessarily done too well. So I'm a bit concerned there. And you've got Nitish Rana and Karun Nair as backups, and Prithvi Shaw and a far cry Sahil Parakh as well. So do you think they lack a bit of that stability that's needed at the top?
Yeah, I think I would like to reiterate on my point. I don't want KL Rahul to open. That's I think a better way to put it. But I think he will have to, looking at the composition of the side.
Even
The
he
only
doesn't
other
want to open.
alternative that may work out is to open with Nitish Rana and one of Karun Nair, Prithvi Shaw, Duckett, or Nisanka. Because I think if Rana can play at number three, uh, I think he could work as an opener, but that's not a given. So that'll be a bit of a change for him. But if that works out and if he starts doing well as an opener, that it makes a lot of issues. It solves a lot of issues for Delhi.
Yeah, and if you look a little down the order, my I think looking at their batting, I would say Vipraj Nigam fit nahi aa raha, sir, because it just makes the team go in a weird balance and it makes them a lot more bowling friendly team. And if you see, you need to play Akshar Patel at 4 to kind of have any sort of balance in this team. Otherwise, you've got Stubbs and Miller coming in at 4 and 5, and then Akshar, Ashutosh, and Vipraj. So the other way they can kind of extend or improve this batting is to drop the idea that is Vipraj Nigam and get in an extra batter in the form of Samir Rizvi or Karun Nair, Nitish Rana, any one of those at the top or at number 3, so that Rahul slots in at 4 and then Akshar, Miller, Stubbs, and Ashutosh. So that'll still be quite a hefty batting unit. About even miss the services of Vipraj Nigam. So do you think that is where they'll be headed at the start of the season?
Yeah, that's one possible option. I was also thinking that they could drop the overseas opener essentially and just play Karun Nair because he did a decent job for them. And if that happens, then you can drop Vipraj or Akib Nabi and play Kyle Jamieson, who is more of an all-rounder and can give you those extra hits towards the end. And then you can have a stronger bowling attack because Jamieson has more experience than Akib Nabi or Nigam, and then that makes it a bit more all-round balanced side.
Yeah. So I think this team is kind of hinged on the combination that they go with. And it's not a kind of a team where can see them go with you can see them go with multiple combinations, but not necessarily everything will work. So I think the management has a bit of a job on their hands to kind of settle in on a team structure first and then go with the players, because most teams have got a fixed or a kind of straightforward structure and they just need to figure out the players. But I think Delhi also need to figure out the structure they want to go with, and that can be a bit of a hassle. So we have seen Delhi, whenever they start well, they haven't made the playoffs, and the best example is last year. So obviously, when they don't start well, it's a given that they won't qualify. So I think for a team like Delhi, who already don't have any experience of pulling things back, I think a good start is what they should be eyeing for. And in that sense, it is very important to get your team right from the get go. So I think it's a big task on the hands, and they need to do something because you've made, in a way, a few major changes to your structure by completely overthrowing your previous team structure where you had Faf and McGurk. You didn't have someone like a Miller, and of course, you had Mitchell Stark as well, though he's unavailable for the start. So, a lot of changes will be seen here from their previous campaign.
Yeah, that's true. I'm actually worried about what they'll do when Mitch Stark comes back because to fit him in, they'll have to change the overseas structure completely. And the second thing is because they've got so many top order batters, what I see happening is they'll give their openers the first two matches. If one of them doesn't do well, then they just keep swapping. So I hope they don't keep swapping every single game because I think that's what they did last time. At one point, they had three different opening combinations in 3 games, which doesn't help. You need to have some stability. So I hope Saurav Ganguly and company they can do a good job. They've got a fantastic coaching unit. I just hope it translates to the players as well.
Yeah, and another headache that they have when they eventually do settle on a structure and they get to the players, they also have a choice to make between Thangarusu Natarajan and Mukesh Kumar, because both of them have had middling domestic seasons. I would say Natarajan a bit worse because he didn't play the entire season. So there's a choice to make, because if Mitchell Stark isn't available, which he isn't at the start, so you are kind of tilted towards Natarajan because he gives you the only left arm option in the team. Otherwise, you have a pretty one dimensional attack if you go with Mukesh, Lungi, and Akib. So they need that thing to be sorted as well. So you've got Akib, and that's it for the new ball bowling. If you don't play Mukesh, and even if you play Mukesh, he's more of a death bowling expert, and Lungi Ngedi as well. In the recent past, whenever he has done well, he's done well by controlling the middle overs and at the death. So he will have to bowl the new ball, but that is not his strongest suit. So do you think they will think of getting in Kyle Jamieson to help ball
Bolster.
bolster their new ball bowl?
Yeah, I actually feel that Kyle Jamieson should start because they need someone in the power play, like you mentioned. And I agree that they should play T. Natarajan ahead of Mukesh Kumar because Natarajan, even though he's not in his prime, he's displayed some excellent death bowling in his prime years when he was playing for SRH. So if he can even reach 80% of that, he'll still be a good option. And I think you don't want to put a bowler like Akib Nabi, if he's starting under pressure at the death. You would ideally want to give him overs up front and in the middle. So then you need someone to take responsibility at the end. I don't see Lungi Ngidi as a pure death bowler. He's more of a middle overs bowler who can come and slow down the scoring rate. So Natarajan should be the designated death over specialist for them.
Yeah, and we haven't talked about Dushmanta Chamira as well, who, out of the many who haven't got an NOC yet, he is someone who has got the NOC,
Oh,
which is good because he passed the fitness test apparently. So I think he's probably a better bet because he is an all phase bowler. So he can come back in the death and do well and also bowl well with the new ball. So I think one thing they can also try is maybe get rid of Tristan Stubbs and play. So you fit in someone like a Samir Rizvi or add a extra Indian batter so that you get a overseas spot, and maybe instead of Natarajan you play both Lungi and Chamira, and when Stark comes back he replaces the one who's performing worse from those two. So that could also be another way they can structure this team, because when Stark is not there, I think you need a bit more pumping to be done in the bowling department.
yeah, that's also a good option. Um, and then you can obviously maybe try playing Jamison instead of Chamira, depending on the requirements. So yeah, I think one player that we haven't spoken about at all is Kuldeep Yadav. He didn't get a lot of games in the World Cup, so he's kind of gone under the radar. But I think his role is going to be extremely important without Mitchell Stark, because they don't really have a wicket taker. I think most of these bowlers are good with their economy, but Kuldeep Yadav is the one who will have to take a lot of wickets in the middle overs to make sure the bowling is not under pressure towards the death. So, what do you think? How should Delhi play Kuldeep? Should they attack with him or should they keep him for the last part of the middle overs?
Yeah, his overs will be very precious and they need to be used well because he's going to give you wickets, and you need to give him overs when he has the best chance of getting wickets, and the opposition can't just nudge him around for singles and doubles and attack the others, because apart from him, I'm very concerned about this bowling attack. So he will be a very important player, and I know the pitches at the start won't really suit his style of bowling, because he's someone who, if the pitch is slow, he bowls slowly as well, so it's easier to play him. So I think it's a challenge to kind of have just one quality bowler, because Mitchell Stark would have been your other wicket taker and Lungi Ngidi will need to step up, and they would hope that Akib Nabi just comes in and does what he has been doing in the domestic circuit.
Yeah, so I think with that we've reached the end of this preview. So let's go to our predictions. I think both of us have already made our predictions. So I think I would like to tell the viewers this is the second time we are recording this, thanks to a few technical issues. But let's talk about our predictions. Why have you placed them in number 7?
Yeah, I honestly feel that they will mess up the team structure and they will take time to settle in, and that is where their season will go down the drain. And I really hope KL Rahul stops or thinks about the side and gets to the top of the order, because he will need to kind of be that man at the top who provides stability. And I think he began playing slowly for a reason, and that was because there was no one else in the team to stabilize it after he got out. So he kind of took it upon himself to play till the end. But over here, you don't need to. You've got Miller, Stubbs, Ashutosh, Akshar. You've got so many batters, and you're not the captain. No one will come on your face and ask you for accountability here. So in front of the camera. So you've got a good reason to give out your best and play freely. So I think that is what you should do, because if you think that he doesn't have the game to play up top, I think in the middle it will be even harder. So going at the top will be his best chance because he is a quality batter and they need to make use of him, and that is why I feel he should be at the top. But I don't think that will happen because he's KL Rahul. So that is why I've placed them at P7 simply because they will find it tough to get to their winning combination.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with the KL Rahul bit. I think it's high time that he stops caring a lot about the team and should stop thinking that the team is completely reliant only on him. Rather, he should go out and bat freely, which he used to do in 2018, 19, and even 2020. And we saw how successful he was, although the team didn't do well. But that was because of other reasons, where Rahul was extremely impactful. So I hope that version of him comes back. I made this prediction earlier when Mitchell Stark was supposed to come, but now that he's not going to be playing for the first, I don't know how many games, I'm going to place them in P8. I think they are still a strong enough side. The bowling is a bit of a worry, but if the batters get going, then they can win a few games for sure.
Yeah, so with that, we have reached the halfway stage of our IPL previews,
For the
and the
second time.
IPL is just a week away. So the remaining, you better expect them to be on their way. So until they are coming, we will leave. And until the next time, for the little
Roar Mocha.
स्टेडियम में शोर है एनर्जी ऑन द फ्लोर है दिस इज द अनफिल्टर्ड फीड